I was genuinely worried there for a minute. Genuinely, I wouldn't say I was verklempt or like, but I was genuinely concerned for uno momento because I got this far. So this is my quarter round rocket launcher, and this is my half round as it breaks right here on camera. You know, best part about Lego is it goes back together. Yeah, I'm gonna have to re-add some enforcements there. Obviously, the 2x4 hinge plate is not working properly on that one because it should all stay together. But anyway, I got to this far. Not too shabby. Basically, it's not necessarily a carbon copy of that guy, but again, I like to go into the stuff that literally nobody cares about. Like literally nobody cares about besides me, because I'm the one that has to put it together. Oh, look, drink. Thanks. I do have some concerned friends out there who keep on reminding me to bring a drink down when I make these videos. I'll say something about that before I go into the other thing. So I don't want to make too many tangents because I'll forget what I was going on about. But I don't know I'm going to create some of my videos. I don't know. I start working down here and I go, oh, I'm going to make a video. But anyway, so this is not a carbon copy of this guy. And again, the minutiae here is literally nobody else's concern besides mine. Because as I said, I'm the one that has to put this together. The minutiae here is that this thing is suspended on a second monorail loop around the rocket. So there's literally nothing underneath this thing, directly underneath this thing, besides air. And the first monorail loop, the bottom monorail loop is 10 bricks lower than that thing. So there's nothing there underneath that guy. So I could have built this bottom as thick as I wanted, and I wouldn't care because there's not, well, I couldn't build it so deep because the monorail would hit it when it's underneath, right? Because it's like this, right? And the monorail goes underneath. But I had some wiggle room on this one to reinforce the entire infrastructure. So you can see it's like 3 plates thick. Going from the wing plate to the bottom here is 3 plates thick. And I'm going, okay, I can't do that on this one. I cannot make it 3 plates thick. And the only reason that I cannot make it 3 plates thick is that this thing is going to be sitting basically on top of the monorail station of the tower, in the back of the tower. I had that big, huge, long, I can't show you the picture, it's not the picture, that big, huge, long, where I have 36 small quarter panels, triangular quarter panels, 9, 18, 27, yeah, 34, because I'm missing 2, and that's why it's trans dark blue. But I have 34 trans yellow small quarter corners that whole long back of the tower. This thing is sitting right on top. And the higher I make this, the more because the monorail right now just sits on top of that station, the monorail station. It just sits on top of it, and it's perfectly in line with the rest of the monorail track. That monorail track is exactly 22 bricks high around the entire loop of the second loop. It's exactly 22 bricks high wherever it is on that loop. So if I make this thing higher, that's moving the actual monorail up, right? Then yeah, I'm gonna definitely replace some joints there. So this thing so these things can be underneath the monorail track. Every plate that I move it up, it's no longer exactly 22 bricks high off of the base plate. It's 22 bricks in one plate, 22 bricks in 2 plates, 23 bricks high. And therefore, there's a little bit of a slope for the monorail train to get on top, to go around. Now, in the end, 1 plate's not going to make a huge difference. It's not. 2 plates, not a huge difference. I mean, I've stressed these monorails. You see those people make those spirals all the way up just using monorail curves and to make a spiral. So there's not a lot of reason why I couldn't make the back of the actual half curve at the back of the tower on the second loop like a brick taller. There's no reason for not to do that. My issue is that when you're looking at it, you will see it go up. And I wanted in universe, the engineers in universe would not make a sloped, unless you actually use the monorail slopes, they would not make a sloped track in my universe because it says bad engineering. That's what it says to me. As it says, you're wiggling around just to overcompensate something. And so I seriously try to, in universe, make it like the engineers who designed this thing, designed it properly. You don't go to a bridge and all of a sudden there's a little hump in it to get over something, right? They re-engineer it to take that into account. And so for me, and this is my only justification as to why I'm not reinforcing this half curve of rocket launchers or shuttle launchers, the way I reinforce that guy, is because it would make the monorail track too high. So that's been going in my head the entire time I'm building this. How do I make this thing thin enough? 2 bricks, well, 1 brick, 1 plate high, because that's what I got here. That is 3, you can see 1, 2, 3, that's 3 plates high on this one. So the monorail loop on this one is sitting 3 bricks or 3 plates higher, but it doesn't matter because I lowered it so that the actual track is still on the second or the first layer 12 bricks high. This is 12 bricks high. This one is going to be 22 bricks high, and I want it to stay in that 22 brick variance plus or minus a plate. So you don't notice it that it goes up, right? I mean, I mentioned this in the video now, and you guys will see this video before the show, and you're going to come to the show and say, Dave, that thing goes up 1 plate. Because I would. So, if anybody cares about that. So I've tried desperately to keep this thing at the 1 plate level higher than the track was before I built this thing. Because right now, as I say, the track sits right on top of the monorail station in the tower. And so now it's going to be sitting 1 plate above that, because these things will be underneath. And that's, to me, that's perfectly acceptable. It is. Because I won't notice it as much. I might cringe when I see it every so often if I really notice it, but I'm not going to bother. For me to fix that would be for me to redesign the entire monorail station. And then there won't be enough room in the monorail station for the monorail to come through, because it's pretty tight as it is at the top, the ceiling of the monorail station and the monorail itself. Pretty tight. I mean, I think I have a couple plate wiggle room in there, but I'm not going to redesign the monorail station. So this thing has to not look like it's sloping up the monorail track. And so looks for 1 or 2 plates. 1 plate is what I got here. I think that's perfectly acceptable. But I thought I'd get on here to tell you exactly why I'm doing it this way, because I like video. So I got nothing else to say at this point, besides I am looking forward to the show. I'm really looking forward to the show. I'm really looking forward to hanging out with friends for the week, from Wednesday to Sunday. And I really do appreciate, did I ever bring it back? Oh, no. As a final note, because I think this is going to be probably my last video before the show, because I think I'm already into Tuesday. And then I'm bringing this back, because I only got to keep this, like the Stanley Cup, the actual Stanley Cup, for the year that I got it. And I already talked to the organizers, and this is going to go on to hopefully somebody else who is quote unquote best in show, or whatever criteria they have for giving that out. And I'm going to say that's been sitting on my desk right here, and it's been in a lot of my videos. I don't try to make it prominent because, hey, look at me, look what I got. I don't try to do that, but it sits on my desk because I get to see it. And I will say it's been an absolute wonderful, I guess the word is honor. It's been a wonderful time for me to have that in my possession for a year, and I graciously and gladly give it back to the organizers this year to do whatever they want with it. I don't know what their plan is, but I did talk to Graham. I told him I was bringing it back, and he does say he has the plan, but he doesn't have to let me know what it is. Perfect. But it has been an absolute cherished honor for me as a, this is not self-deprecating, although it's going to sound like that. Because I've had some really good chats with Simon. Simon's a really good friend of mine. But again, Simon is also one of these people that basically the entire Lego community, quote unquote, knows, because of his enthusiasm and just fantasticness and wonderfulness and his building style and at all the conventions that he can get to. And he has been, I will say, one of the best. I'm glad I had known him for a long time. he's been one of the best ambassadors. I don't know if I don't even know if he has that title officially from anybody, but for me, he's one of the best ambassadors for our hobby, with his enthusiasm and joy, and working together with other people, and just promoting the hobby in a graciously nice and decent and wonderful fashion that, hey, bring people out, blah blah, and then on top of which, his building style is exemplary. Yes, sometimes most of his builds are held together with a half a stud and a prayer, but in the end, they're gorgeous. So in the end, his building style is great, his enthusiasm is great, his joy of the hobby is great, his ability to liaise with almost everybody in the entire hobby that I've witnessed in my life has been great, and I'm glad to call him one of my friends. So this hobby is utterly fantastic. And so I got this last year, before, I got that for, that wasn't best in shows. I don't want to do that. I don't know what the exact criteria is for getting that as the appreciation for whatever, but I was humbled, straight up humbled by it, because I don't think I'm one of those people like Simon. Simon is a force to be reckoned with, and other people in this hobby are forces to be reckoned with. I've been in this hobby for, well, online with other people, because I've been in this hobby since I was four, but with other people, other like-minded adult fans of Lego. I've been in this hobby for like 30 years now. So 2024, I can't say 30 years, because 1994, I wasn't on the internet looking for Lego stuff. And there was hardly any internet to go on. So I didn't start getting into the online version and group version of Lego until probably the later 90s. So about 25 plus years I've been online, and I've been in awe of many people over the past quarter decade in this hobby, like almost 30 years, we'll say that, because 1998, 97, almost just completely in awe, not just with the friends that I have in Toronto or thereabouts, and the people I've met at shows and met on Lugnet and met everywhere else, but I just scroll through my feeds, because I follow a lot of different groups. I've been historically on the brick shelves and the blah blah blahs and all the flickers and blah blah, and over the years, even though the platform has changed, the platform du jour of whoever we wanted to share this hobby with, every single time I'm on one of these platforms, going right back to Brickshelf, going right back to Flickr, going right back to, and now Facebook groups, and then and TikToks and whatever, I am continuously amazed by what people are doing with this hobby, and what, you know, and I want to use the because I don't want this to be too long, but it's going to get too long. I want to use the official historical version of Solieri versus the movie version of Solieri, but with the idea that when you're not a Luddite, because I'm not going to put myself down. That's self-deprecating if I think I'm a Luddite or a non-good Lego builder. I like what I build, or I wouldn't have done it. I like what I build. I build it for me, and I build it for friends and whatever. But the extrovert, or the extra going the mile for everybody else, and the new stuff and the new technologies and the new ways of building and all the colors and blah blah blah, all that stuff. Mozart walks into the room, and Solieri, you watch the movie, he's like, finds it offensive almost, and I guess that's the whole point of the movie, finds it offensive that this brash, vulgar, as he said, little kid just completely smoked anything he's ever done. Now, I don't think, and that's the extreme context that I don't want to necessarily apply one-to-one, because I like what I do, and I don't think, you know, my stuff is crap. But for me, it's not on par with what I'm seeing from fantastic builders that also have the outreach to the world. This is my outreach here. This is just from me to you, my 1,300 or 1,030 subscribers, for 15 years. And I've said this, I'm perfectly okay with that. I don't need the 1.5 million viewers. That's not for me. But I am absolutely love the fact that there are Lego people out there that have millions of viewers. I follow Stacy. I really do. I think she's fantastic. She is a fantastic addition or person in this community. I think that her joy and enthusiasm for the hobby is wonderful, because she promotes it her way, and I think it's fantastic, and I will always say that that's what she's doing is just fantastic for the hobby as well as for herself, and her building, what she's doing is perfectly acceptable. And the promotion that she makes is perfectly acceptable. Now, whether or not she gets over, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm going to follow her, whether she's getting other stuff. It doesn't matter to me. And never mind, because I remember these discussions from a long time ago about people who promote the hobby because they get free swag. I remember those stories from back in the day. There are people out there who get free swag from Lego Company for being huge influencers. Fine, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I am not an influencer. I do not want to be an influencer, but the fact that influencers exist for this hobby is fantastic. It just opens the door. And again, you look at, if you're my age, you look at the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s, pre-2000, pre-Lugnet. There was all these little tiny individuals or little tiny groups of people. It wasn't like Star Trek where you had conventions in 1972 and they got out there and a lot of people from all over the world would attend to a convention in 1972. Lego never had that before. Lego never had that. There was Comic-Cons before Lego conventions. There was Star Trek conventions. There was Star Wars fandoms, blah, blah, blah. There was hardly, from pre-1990 whatever, there was no fandom. Adult fandom of Lego that I knew of. And I was hardcore into Lego. You ask any one of my friends through my entire life, there has never been a time, I'm going to, Legos, and give it up. But I lived through it, and I lived pre-internet, and I remember there was nothing for me in the Lego community because there was no community to be in. After you're 14, there was literally no community at all to be in. And all of a sudden, the internet shows up, and all of a sudden, I buy the RCX, and I find Lugnet, and I was like, holy moly, my mind's blown. Absolutely blown. And the fact that Todd and Suze put that effort into it to build the community, instead of just the news group that they had before, which was just full of spam and crap that I remember. The fact that Todd and Suze went out of their way to build a platform for the community prior to Facebooks, prior to everything else, because they didn't have that stuff back then. And so you had Lego fans building communities for Lego fans. And it's one of my biggest and deepest respects for my friend Janie is that when she started her convention, again, I love other conventions too, but her and other conventions follow this criteria. So I'm not like, I want to go to all the conventions again. But her bottom line for her conventions was Lego fans making a show for Lego fans. It had nothing to do with trying to cater favor from the Lego company. It had nothing to do with whatever. For fans, by fans, for fans, by fans. For Lego fans, by Lego fans. And I go around and I see all that stuff happening out there in the world. And overall, I have not been disappointed by the Lego fans doing stuff for Lego fans. I've never been disappointed by it. A few things. I do not watch religiously. I've seen a few episodes. I do not watch Lego Masters. It's not in my wheelhouse. Now, I watched it when my friend Nick was on it. I didn't watch all the episodes, but I watched it when Nick was on it because I know him. And again, one of my favorite builders. And his outreach is different than Simon's. His ability to attract people into the hobby or talk to people or liaise with people and his building style is his way of doing it. And I want to support that. I love Nick for it. I got his sig fig in my layout because I said, Nick, seriously, you're one of my favorite people in the hobby for what you do and what you've done. If I can have your sig fig, and he absolutely brought it over, and it's one of my. I love so many things in my layout, but that's one of them. My buddy Nick is in my layout, and so I sit here for a year of having this, and I'm really humbled by it because in the end, and again, I don't think it's self-deprecating. You go to any convention on North America, you go to any convention in Europe, you go to Dave Cowdays, and they go, who? Who? And again, that's perfectly acceptable. I don't have a problem with that. I never wanted to be on billboards. I never wanted to, oh, look at his stuff and blah, blah, blah. That's not who I am. I like the je ne sais quoi, the smallness of my hobby outreach to my close friends. And then you guys send me texts and you reply to my posts and whatever, my videos. And I go, oh, this is great. I get to talk to my buddy. I get to talk to you. I never wanted to say, oh, Dave walks into the room. Hey, look, Dave's here. This isn't like Cheers. Oh, look, Dave's here. Right? Now, my close friends do that. And I just love it because, and I do the same thing. Hey, Jeff's here. Right? I love that one-on-one thing, but I've had a relationship with Jeff for over 25 years. I've known Simon for well over 20 years now. I've known Nick for a very long time now. And all my friends that I consider close friends. And I've had friends online like you guys that I've never met before in my life, but you reply to my posts and we exchange emails and DMs and stuff like that. I consider you guys my friends, really. And so that's where I'm coming from. This is how I handle my outreach. Personal, one-on-one, you're walking with me, and that's perfectly acceptable, and I'm happy with that. So all in all, to wrap all this up, this was very humbling for me because I was noticed by the general community. And I'm like, just wow, just like, and it wasn't because of the mocks I made. It wasn't directly because of the mocks I made, because again, I'm going to quote Scotty here, 2 chimpanzees and a trainee could have built what I built. Maybe not. Maybe that's too self-deprecating. But it was humbling because I was noticed, and I sincerely appreciated that. I willingly and gladly give this back for whatever they do with it next. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity. I think it's for them to reach out to other people who are, I don't want to use the term influencer, but just their outreach and the joy and the passion and for the community, but not just for the building, but for other people and building up the entire community. And I do know that, not to go into this negative part, but I do know that there have been people in the past, and I've just had a few online that all they can do is tear people down. And I've worked my entire life to be against that. Grade school, high school, whatever, team sports, whatever, Boy Scouts, whatever, is I try to give other people an experience where they feel better about themselves, and that they are worthy, and that they are seen, and that they are noticed, and that they are appreciated. People at work say this about me all the time, that I have my enthusiasm of other people and their joys, and I mentioned this before, their joys and their hobbies and their interests. I will just sit there and listen forever and be rapt attention, because no matter how non-related to me that hobby is, or that interest is, that whatever conversation is, I'm happy with their enthusiasm, and I'm going to partake, and I learn stuff. So that's who I am. But it's usually, in the context, it's usually small or one-on-one to have that ability to do that. I at shows, somebody will come up to me and we'll start talking. I mentioned I will talk to them for an hour and a half, or that we can talk together for an hour. I don't want to say I've talked to them, blah, 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 but they'll talk to me. I'm interested, and all of a sudden they'll reel me in and tell me stories about whatever, they're 18 years old and this happened in their lives and blah, blah, and I'm wrapped. I'm just like, absolutely share that with me. And that's what I love about this hobby, is I have the ability to do that at shows, and I just keep on coming back to this. Is why shows now in my life are my most favorite thing about the hobby. Adding stuff to my layout, it's fun because I get to play in my living room in a couple hours and waste time playing in the living room. But I do this so I can go to a show and be there and talk to people. So, but I also am, you might not understand this, I am a bit of an introvert. When I got that, I walked up, grabbed it, and went back to my chair. I'm not good in front of crowds. I'm not good in front of crowds. I fake it. If I have to be in front of crowds, if you ever see me talking to 50 people and you think that he's got some sort of swagger or some whatever, it's 100% overcompensation of a very shy guy. See, this camera's here, so I'm only talking to one person, so I can blather on forever and whatever, and just go off on a million tangents and talk about whatever until my head pops off, and that's fine. But if you put me in front of people, it's a completely different experience for me. I try not to be in front of people. There is one video, and it has way back, and I won't be able to link it. It's on my YouTube. Is when we were doing the Toy Train and Doll Show, and Doug and Frank asked me to go to Cable 14 in Mississauga to talk up the show, to talk about the displays that were going to be at the show. They didn't give me, and I should have asked for it, they didn't give me like, hey, Doc, make these points. They said, Dave, go do the show. We're too old. People's not going to come to the show if they see some two old guys talking about the hobby show or the Toy Train and Doll Show. So you're young, and we've worked with you for all these years. You go do the show for like a 5-minute spot. And my wife was watching it, and she goes, wow, you seem so confident. And I made a few flubs. But she says, because I know you, I know that confidence was 100% acting. It's because it was. It was like, my heart's like beating out of my chest on it. And it's like, I thank Doug and Frank for the opportunity. But I did say, please don't let me do that again. Because it was, for me, it was bad. Everybody else, Sandy even said it was good. It was good. You got the points out. I maybe with experience doing that, I'll get better, but I don't want the experience. And I've talked about this before, and not to go off at the 26 mark on a different tangent. I don't go out of my way to experience stuff that I know for my first shot at it, I hated or was really scared or petrified of. I have enough to do in my life. I have enough. I don't have a bored minute of my entire 57 years. And I tell this to Josh all the time. The way I grew up, the way I live my life, I have zero time to be bored. Because even when I'm sitting in a chair by myself, and Josh is out and Sandy's out, I will come down here. But even if I got a million thoughts in my head that I'm working out, right? All these ideas about various issues and blah, blah, blah. And I work out some sort of moral pronouncements and blah, blah, blah. And so I just don't have free time to try something else. I want to work on what I have and what I want to, and I know I have to work on. And that's what I do. So, just like when I was younger, when people, and I was never pressured, thankfully, but when people say, oh, have this drink, you'll like it. No, there's enough things for me to drink. I don't need to drink that. I don't drink alcohol. And it's not religious, and it's not immoral. It's not anything to do besides I don't need to. And thankfully, in my life, nobody pushed me to. I don't need to smoke. I don't need to do drugs. And I don't mind if other people do. And that's my whole thing. Very libertarian on this, personal libertarian. You can do whatever you want with your life. I am going to build Lego. You can say to me that this hobby is not right for a 57-year-old. And this is a discussion I had 10 minutes ago. Well, not 10 minutes ago. I was going to do this video for this long. Somebody was disparaging my hobby here. And I'm going, say what you want, dude. It's not going to stop me from partaking in this hobby. And I'm going to go in 3 days, and I'm going to hang out with engineers, scientists, doctors, lawyers, people with triple PhDs. I'm going to go hang out with them for 4 days, 5 days. The smartest people that I know, I'm going to go hang out with for 5 days. And it's going to be awesome. And they're all going to have their stories about their wife and their kids and their vacations and some sort of surgery that they had that was complicated. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to just love it. It's going to be, I can't, and yet you can't put that in the post. But I'm going to go there on Wednesday and set up. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to hang out with some of the best people on the planet. I'm going to. And it's my honor and it's my honor and huge appreciation to do so. It's the very first time I went to Brick Fest that Christina was running, and to hang out with people that I've been talking to online for a bunch of years. and to get to meet them in person and to just enjoy the camaraderie of our mutual appreciation of this hobby. And not just this hobby, but talk about other things. Because these guys, some of these guys are rocket scientists. They modify, they plan to engineer rockets that go into space and satellites. This is what they do for a living. And they also play Lego. I know. I am friends with rocket scientists. I am friends with mechanical and electrical industrial engineers. Have the ring on their finger, and I talk to them for hours about different things, and they talk to me, and if I have a problem with something, hey dude, I have this problem. Oh yeah, maybe we should think about, oh perfect. This is who I hang around. Salt of the earth, wonderful, decent, kind, loving, smart, educated, intelligent people. I have some of that, but I get to do that. This is what this hobby offers me. Like, and if you don't think that's worthy, I can't talk to you. If you think that hanging around smart people, I'm gonna quote Aaron Sorkin. If you're dumb, surround yourself with smart people. If you're smart, hang around smart people who disagree with you. The end. It's the best thing I've ever heard. Well, many things I heard from Aaron Sorkin on Sports Night and West Wing, and it was brought up in both series, by the way. He said that same line in both. Two different characters said it. But if you're dumb, surround yourself with smart people. If you're smart, surround yourself with smart people who disagree with you. And there's a lot of smart people who disagree with me on certain things, and we can have a nice, decent, cogent, rational discussion about it, as opposed to what I just went through. But whatever, it doesn't matter. In the end, I'm going to go to a show this weekend, and I'm going to have a good time. So I don't want this thing to go any longer. I am going to bring that back. I'm going to be joyous if and when it goes to somebody else for their year. And I'm going to always remember, just like, oh, it's already packed because it's always in the layout. I'm going to cherish that as much as the best in show that I got at the very first Brick Fest. That was given to me by Deborah. And Deborah is one of my most, I have so many favorite people. Deborah is one of the most sincere persons in this hobby. And she's not, from my understanding of hanging around her all these, not lately, but she's not a Lego fan like the rest of us. She's a fan of building stuff out of Lego for what she wants to build. And she gave me that. The best of show, because again, I think it was it wasn't set up this way, but because it was the first Brick Fest, the whole premise of Lego show done by fans for fans, it was retro. That was the whole theme of the show, retro Lego, and I'm bringing a classic space layout. There was other things that were retro too, but a classic space layout, yeah, that's, I think. So, but again, I was very humbled and honored for that. And I got to keep that one, and it's in the layout because it's got some trans yellow in it. Of course it's in the layout. So I put that on display every single show. It's part of the layout. And it's just like the appreciation tokens. Now, I got many appreciation tokens since, but I think it was the first Bricks in the 6. It definitely wasn't the last Brick Fest, so it must have been the first Bricks in the 6 that I did, where people left appreciation tokens. And again, I hear other names for it, but I call them appreciation tokens. There was 6 or 7 of them on my layout, and some people. And so what I've been doing since then is I've been trying to incorporate. I won't be able to incorporate all of them. But I've been incorporating the ones that I can into the layout, because again, after the last show and before, I got lots more. And again, I can't, just the whole layout would be inundated with appreciation tokens. So I keep them over in a bin now. But one, and I still to this day don't know who gave it to me. But it was either Bricks in the 6 or no, it was before Brick Fest. So it was Brickomania. It looked like a little tiny UFO. They got the octagon 2x2 with the octagon, and they put all the lights around it, and they put a trans clear staff on it, so you could just put, so I think it looks like a perfect little tiny drone or something for the layout. So it's in the layout permanently now, and I think that's great. There are a few other things. I got, I don't have them here, but I got a 2x4 tile, light blade tile with the I think 5 or 6 blue and red squares that signify what's his name, or from Star Wars. You always see those generals in the white capes, and they have that. I know who gave it to me because he's my friend, but that's was incorporated into my layout the second he gave it to me, because I love him and I appreciate that, and it fits perfectly into the layout. So anything that fits perfectly into layout is going to stay in the layout. And I'm just going to keep on doing that. And the fact that I get appreciation tokens, it's just, it's honestly, I find appreciation tokens to be a very humbling experience. Because you look around the room, you look at all the absolutely fantastic builds in the room, and there's not a bad one out there, right? These people are bringing destroyers, Canadian destroyers that are 10 feet long, that are minifig scale, and they're perfectly detailed. And I'm going, holy moly, just, and my acquaintance friend in the States that did the Missouri, just one of my favorite builds of all time. And all that other stuff. Like, I am just in awe of this community and what they can build. The other thing is not only the building, it is the outreach. It is the sharing the hobby, not just building, but sharing the hobby with other people and being enthusiastic. And so at a show, when the little kids are just completely in awe of the layout, I show them that they can do it too. That's the one thing that Jamie mentioned to me when the layout was at the store for all those months. Is that, and the same thing Janie said to me. So this is Jamie and Janie, because parents and kids who don't know there's a whole hobby enthusiast group of people, they just buy the Lego sets for the kids, and the kids at 8, 10, whatever, they build it and they play with it, and then it goes into a box and then it's forgotten. And I don't know if it's just a cultural thing or a generational thing, because kids these days, not to start the line off that way, but kids these days do not, I find, even with Josh, the way he was brought up by his parents, it didn't have the same, it's not bad or good, this is ambivalent, but he didn't have the same upbringing that I did, because he could sit here on his little tablet and play with his friends and communicate with his friends, because the game allows that kind of community. So he's talking to his buddies online, playing Fortnite or whatever he's playing. And, you know, and they're on the football team together, so it's not like he's inactive. But that's not the point of this story. But the point of this story is, when I was a kid, there was no internet. So when I was a kid at 6, 8, 10, I'm over at my buddy Paul's place. I'm over at my buddy Rob's place. I'm over at my buddy Pete's place. And then Paul and Pete are friends. So the 3 of us are over at somebody's house, or we're all BMXing around or building forts in the backyard. But also the 3 of us, or the 5 of us, or the 10 of us are playing Lego in somebody's house, right? Like, I'd never seen Josh since the day he was born and started playing Lego with me. He's never had a friend over here to play Lego. He never has. Even at 4, 6, 8, 10. He never had somebody over here. Let's go play Lego. Never had it. Never had it the way we did, like literally all the time. Like, but then you hit 14 and it stops. I didn't. They did. All my friends did. And I got all their sets. So I got all their collections. In the end, all those collections get to me. But that doesn't happen anymore. And so now, these days, in this day and age, outreach is massive. And so I show up at Jamie's store, or Janie's store from years ago, but Jamie's store in Grimsby, and Jamie says, hey, set up your layout and leave it. And that's perfect. Love to do so. And so I set up the label like in August or whatever, I set it up. And it sat there, and he kept on, every time I stopped by, which was once every other month. I think I was there 4 times the entire time the thing was set up. I should have been there more. but Jamie was just happy having it there. He kept on saying, oh no, so like people would come in, and I love the stories from Jamie. He said people would come into the store, some people would come into the store and they beeline for whatever they're going to get. So, because my layout's right next to the entrance. Right? So they would come in the door, go right to the back to grab what they want, new minifigs, whatever Jamie's got in the store. And they turn around and boom, there's my layout. Holy crap, blah, blah, blah. Jamie said there was one person at his store that came in a few times and continuously asked Jamie if they could buy the entire layout. And I'm going, he showed me this when I was taking it down. And I'm going, I have other stories, so I'm not going to go off that tangent. But it's like, you'd have to offer me a lot of money. Honestly, not the piece count isn't, well, it's sort of expensive, but the piece count is not the money. It's the time since 2007, basically. And it's the love, and again, love. And I'm going to use that word judiciously. It's the love that I have for the layout, because it offers me an opportunity to talk to people. So if somebody bought it, I would lose that. I'd have to start over and find something else. Now, that's a whole other story, and I can do it in another video. But Jamie was saying, besides that guy that wanted to buy the entire layout outright, the parents of kids, like kids build the set. They read the instructions, they build the set. The Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever, the Friends of whatever, the House Cities. They don't understand that you can then take the part apart, the set apart, and build something from your head. And in context, because I want to use that very, very clearly, I get that the classic space layout, just looking at it, has a whole bunch of sets in it. A whole bunch of sets that you could have bought in 1978 in it. Yes, it is inundated with 3 Galaxy Explorers. It has Starfleet Voyagers. It has the 924s. It has 918s. It has 6901s. It has, like, a whole bunch of sets are in there. But if you step back, the whole thing's a mock. The whole thing is a huge mock. It's not the biggest mock on the planet. It's not the most intricate mock on the planet. It's not the most detailed mock on the planet. And it's not the most awe-inspiring mock on the planet. But it's a mock. It's a 5 foot by 7.5 foot mock that people say, holy crap, how do you do that? And how I did that? Building Lego since I was 4. That's it. That's it. And modifying, like, again, that tower I mentioned, again, not go off on this tangent again, but that tower started in 2009, 2010, and it was this tall. That was the tower back in 2009, 2010. I'll take it home, modify it, made it bigger, higher, faster. We have the technology to build the first $6 million man. And I think from this generation here, the new generation, they don't understand that. They never had that, because, again, when you're playing Lego with 10 of your friends or your brother and your sister or whatever, you just kept on rebuilding stuff and building stuff again and building this and building that and trying to build a house, build a spaceship, build whatever out of the pieces that you have. I will say that a lot of people say, oh, but the sets, you can't do that with these days because they're all one-off pieces. They're not. Go to a show. Come to the show this week. Come to the show Saturday and Sunday on open days and look around. All of those pieces, all of those displays, all that stuff is built with pieces from sets. All of it is built from pieces from sets. Now, for us, we can order parts and pieces, so we don't have to actually buy the entire set. And again, my layout, I have like 10,000 3x4 blue slopes. I didn't get enough sets to cover that, but it doesn't matter because I can go on Bricklink. But that's all out of somebody's head. All of it this weekend is going to be out of somebody's head. There might be some mocks there, but we usually don't display mocks. But you walk around, you look at the artistry, you look at the wealth of fantasticness and at the show, and you say, just wow. Just honestly, wow. That's all made with Lego. All of it. and yet you can go to the corner store or any store and buy a set and build that from the instructions. But then you can say, okay, I built that. Let's try building something else. And I think the kids don't have the time anymore.